Hello, everyone, and welcome to our poetry analysis video. Today, we're diving into Lucille Clifton poem in the Inner City. But before we get started, let me introduce you to each members of our group. First up, you have me, Bayu Andra Pramadi. I'm here to guide you through the video. Next, we have Anas Nurrahman. And last but not least, we have Altaf Kemabni. Together, we are here to explore the deeper meanings in Clifton's poem. But first, let's take a moment to appreciate the brilliance of Lucille Clifton. Now, who is Lucille Clifton? If you guys didn't know, Lucille Clifton was an acclaimed American poet, writer, and educator. She was born on June 27, 1936, in Depew, New York, and passed away on February 13, 2010. Clifton's work often explored themes of family, identity, race, and womanhood. She received numerous awards for her poetry, including the National Book Award for Poetry for a collection called Blessing the Boats, New and Selected Poems, 1988 to 2000. Clifton's poetry is known for its simplicity, honesty, and profound insights into the human experience. That's for Lucille herself, but what about her poem for today? This poem contrasts how two different groups or races see their neighborhoods. While society often looks down on the inner city, the poet and her community see it as home. They don't find uptown appealing, preferring to stay where they are despite the challenges. Just so you know that during Lucille Clifton's time, racism was widespread, especially in African American communities. They faced discrimination, poverty, and limited opportunities. Clifton's poem in the Inner City reflects these struggles, showing what life was like for African Americans during that time. This poem is more of a lyrical poetry. Why? Because it focuses on conveying emotions, perceptions, and ideas through imagery, metaphor, and language, rather than telling a straightforward narrative with a plot and characters. And next, we are going to present about the lexical thematic dimension of the poem itself, and it will be presented by
My name is Anas Nurrahman and I'm here to tell you more about the lexical thematic dimension of this poem. Lucille Clifton uses the first point of view in this poem, as she frequently uses we throughout the poem. This we refers to herself and her community, which is African American in the United States during her time. As a member of this community, Clifton is not only expressing her own feelings but also representing the experiences and her perspective to those around her. Now we move on to the imagery section in this poem. In this poem, the words used are contradictory. They show how the outsiders see it one way and people who live there see it another way. It shows on how outsiders talk about the city. They might say it feels sad and purposeless, shown in the term no place, and for the people who enjoy being there is described by the words like alive and home. This shows that even though the city is flawed, the people who live there still love it and feel happy, while the outsiders have a more negative attitude towards the city. This poem helps us understand that different people see things in different ways, and that's okay. It's like having a different opinions about your favorite food, and everyone's tastes are different, and that's what make life interesting. And now we're going on the diction. For diction, there are simile and metaphor. The first one is simile. The simile can be found on the line, "The house is straight as dead men." It suggests that the city, especially the uptown area, is perceived as dull and monotonous, discouraging people from visiting or living there. It could also mean that the presence of violence or unlawful acts is happening throughout the inner city. However, the speaker expresses a preference for staying and being comfortable with violence rather than staying in a lifeless and dull place. Second one is metaphor. The phrase "silent nights" highlights a misconception about the uptown area, where people believe it to be brighter and better place to live, while in reality it's just a city that's full of dim light and far more gloomy, far from the preconception that people might imagine. This contrast between imagination or preconception and reality, showcasing the disappointment of experience by those who hoped for a brighter future in the uptown area. And now we move on to the next part, which will be presented by my friends and colleagues. His name is.
Hey guys, my name is Altaf Kemapening, and this time I will explain to you about the visual dimension. The visual dimension in this poem are showed with symbolism and visual elements. The symbolism and visual elements are showed with the length of the poem that make an example as a building in the city. As you can see here, the first line to the fourth line are shorter compared to the fifth line to line number 12, and it looks like the inner city or downtown. The fifth line to 11 line showed as the uptown part of the city, and the last one, 13 line to 15 line, back to show the downtown side of the city. With this entire poem resembles a city when viewed from distance. As for the rhythmic acoustic dimension, in the inner city, or like we call it, home, we think a lot about uptown and the silent nights and the houses straight as dead men and the pastel lights, and we hang onto our no place, happy to be alive and in the inner city, or like we call it, home. We don't think that this poem focuses on the sound aspect. This poem doesn't follow a strict pattern like iambic or trochaic. Instead, this poem has more irregular rhythm, like natural speech, but it has repetitive phrase at the beginning and the end of the poem, such as "in the inner city," or like we call it, "home." This helps to create a rhythm, but overall, this poem's rhythm feels like everyday speech. In the Inner City by Lucille Clifton is written in free verse and does not contain a traditional rhyme scheme. The poem relies more on its imagery, rhythm, and thematic coherence other than rhyme to convey its message. However, while there is not a structured rhyme scheme, there are instances of internal rhyme and consonants throughout the poem. Internal rhyme occurs when words within the same line or adjacent lines rhyme with each other. Consonance involves the repetition of consonant sound within or at the end of words. So, that's it for our presentation video today. I hope this video helps you to understand more about this wonderful poem by one of the important writers in the poetry history.
If you have any questions, criticism, and suggestions, you can leave it in the discussion forum in the Sibajar. You can find our presentation there, And you can comment to our presentation too.
And on that bombshell, thank you very much for watching this video. Farewell.